Okay, Google. Weather. 32. Ugh, cold. Hey, YouTube. I got my earbuds on, and the ones I've got a video about these coming out. These were the earbuds that kind of sort of started it all. You'll see in that video. So I'm talking on their microphone right here. So, yeah, hopefully it's a little bit better sounding than my phone, a little bit closer to my mouth. Anyways, this one's gonna be a little bit more rambly than I try to be. Probably more pausing and me thinking of things to say. Gonna be a little bit shorter too. That's because this is just something that I recently kind of realized and learned about that I want to share some thoughts on, and I'll probably touch on this topic again later when I have more thoughts about it. But I was reading today on Reddit, which, by the way, Reddit is one of the things that restores my faith in humanity. The way that people can be happy talking to each other, making jokes in the comments below a post, or being totally serious and sharing life stories and things. It just makes me happy that there's not a whole lot of flame wars going on down there. Like the YouTube comment section gets a lot. I hear people saying that there's arguing in the YouTube comment section. And I have seen some arguing in the YouTube comment section, and I've been part of mild, small arguing in the comment section, although I don't try and keep those going or anything like that. Go just for crossing the street here. So, but this particular Reddit, the person just asked if you or anyone you know has been through any juvenile camps for troubled youth, and what their experiences were. And I didn't read very far down, but I want to go back and read more. It has me interested. I'm not going to say a lot of details here, but the basic discussion that I got to so far was basically like, yeah, this is the story of my friend, and it kind of helped him, kind of resents family now because of it. And there are some places, like especially around in Mexico and desert areas, where they like helicopters, video surveillance video caught them doing bad things they weren't supposed to do, being very mean to the children when they were disobedient. And I'm not going to go into detail. If you want, you guys can do some Googling of this. It's some stuff basically putting them in uncomfortable positions and other things that were not very good, and the children ended up having a pretty horrid life. And so they went in and shut these places down, and then this is where it kind of gets interesting, because the person talking about this news article also said, and then the next line kind of makes me cringe a bit. He said basically that the next line of the article was that some of the parents were saying that place got shut down because they were beating the kids up. Oh, well, send them off to another camp. And it might sound cruel at first, but then the next guy to comment, I liked his comment a lot. He basically said that there was this kid who was kind of being mean to his parents and the rest of his siblings, like very mean, like beating them, kind of mean. And so then this kid did something, I forget exactly how, but this kid did something to this guy. So then this guy tackled him and showed him that he's not as tough as he thinks he is to me. I think it was this guy was like a teacher or something in a school. And it straightened the kid out for a little bit, but then he went back to it. And then I think he ended up, I think he broke another teacher's arm, and that finally took him away to one of these camps. And this guy basically summarized what he says. He goes on to say that in a lot of situations with the way our legal system is set up, horrid legal system. There's a lot of good things about it, but there's a lot of bad things about it. but that it kind of makes it so that being mean to your parents when you are the stronger person, you know, he says a lot of cases these children are stronger than their parents, so they become the ruler of the house by force. And if the parents don't do what they want, well, they use that force and beat them up. And so in the case of a lot of these camps and places, it's good because you got to do something about them. The police didn't work. The legal system didn't quite work. So you have to, what's the word? So you have to have somewhere to take them so that the rest of their family can be safe from the madness. And that kind of got me thinking, and I was like, oh yeah. So, well, I do still agree that some of the things I read, that the one camp that got shut down, some of the things they were doing weren't right. Or like think of Holes. I've only seen the movie, good movie, I haven't read the book, but that is a good example of this. Although not as dark as what I was reading, but she had her own personal vendetta, whatever her name was, played by Sigourney Weaver, and so she was using those kids to get what she wanted, and kind of in cases overworking them, and so it's kind of like that but worse. So while I do agree that what they were doing was a little bit too harsh, you do need to take measures, but not some of the things that I read. No, I'm kind of tempted to say what they are, but I really want to keep this relatively clean. Don't know who's watching out here. And my channel is clean. But they were basically, it's just, you know, abusive things, putting them in really uncomfortable situations where they ended up getting injured, is basically all I'm going to say. So I do agree that the places shouldn't be that mean, and that particular place should probably have been closed down. But at the same time, I can now see that those places can be a lifesaver. You can have your life again without, you know, without it being you're 45 years old plus and your son is 18 years old and he's bossing you around by force with the fist. No more the 18-year-old rules the house with an iron fist. That should never happen. So the other thing that's got me thinking about too is exactly how does this happen? I mean, so for the most part, it is the fault of the parents if their children are misbehaving. And like I've said in my videos on people falling away, like you need to look and see what you're doing that could be causing that behavior. But this is serious. There had to have been something that amplified the whole mess of things. Maybe it was drugs. I don't know. It's different for every situation, but like how? Like if you are the type of person to rule with an iron fist, and then you teach that to your kids, that they can also rule with an iron fist and gain over you, I would think that the person who started the whole iron fist rule around the home, just looking at this, yeah, there was a solar panel down here. This is the back cover to the battery compartment, but it was a big damaged solar panel. Thought it was cool, but I didn't take it because it was damaged. But so anyways, I would think that if the parents start this rule of iron fist around the house, they're going to be big, and they're going to be strong, and they're going to be able to take their kids at almost any size and age. Because if you're going to rule iron fist authoritarian, you have to be able to actually do that. For me, I don't want to rule with an iron fist. I will I will dish out punishment and do the necessary things to make sure my kids grow up right, which hopefully I start right. I'm going to start right so that I don't have to dish out very much punishment. But even then, I wouldn't try the iron fist approach because I'm small. Like, seriously, at the size I'm at, you could probably get I'm willing to say if you had 3 decent-sized 3-year-olds who really wanted something, they might possibly be able to overpower me if they really wanted it. So for me, iron fist isn't an option. And I don't want them to roll with an iron fist either, so I'm definitely not going to do that. But it just makes me wonder how it got that way. So the only thing that I can think of is outside influence. There must have been a lot of bad outside influences in the kid's life that weren't taken care of. And so then they ended up being mean like that and ruling with an iron fist. Which is actually kind of scary. And so I'm looking forward to reading more of this subreddit and reading more stories people have. Because it's really nice and the people are actually really friendly. Oh goodness, I'm going to cross the street because there is a whole load of ice down here. And that would be because of where the, see all that ice? Because of the wall and the buildings. So I'm crossing the street now so I don't slip and die. And so I kind of sort of feel sad for the kids ending up in those situations. Not just the ones that are being abused by their older siblings or other, maybe even younger, who knows. But just the whole thing. I mean, it's one thing to lose your kid to an addiction, to where like you're still friends, but they're stuck smoking or something, and there's not really much you can do about it. They're just gonna be smoking for the rest of your life, but you still talk, have family time together. They will occasionally put down their cigarettes so that they can be inside of your house and play card games with their brothers and sisters. It's one thing to have that happen. And, and some of the things that entail being worse, but it is completely different to completely lose all connection with them. When they choose to be disconnected. And even worse is this scenario where they're choosing to be aggressive and kind of sort of fight back and try and get demands on what they want. I would any day take my child not wanting to ever talk to me again and going away, running away from home, as opposed to them ruling with an iron fist. At least I know that I could wake up almost whenever I feel like and not have to worry about being beaten for not having breakfast ready on time. I mean, I don't know things they were being abusive towards the rest of their family on, for what reasons. It wasn't specified there. I might find out more of that later, but there are a number of reasons. Things that could go on, get that right Christmas present for me, or have a black eye. It's just, it's horrible. And to think about the outward influences that can breed that. And I wonder if some of this too is maybe possibly mental disabilities could be probably thrown into the mix here. Because, I've seen some people with mental disabilities. I know. Oh, makes me sad to think about this guy. I know a guy who was Down syndrome, and it just makes me sad to think about him, because the last time that I saw him, he definitely was not doing as good as in the past, and so I'm pretty sure that he's not around anymore. But he was super nice. Like, you're out, like you're over, I would be over there helping them, because it was him. He was like 20 years old, which is really good for a person with Down syndrome. And then his mom, who was like, I don't know, up there, 85, 90 years old, and couldn't move around very easily. And they were living together and relatively able to take care of each other until he started declining and she started declining in health more. They were our renters for a while. He was super, super nice. Like, I would be over there helping them rake up leaves, and I'd be using the leaf blower. And, well, the next step in cleaning up the leaves is to turn off the leaf blower for a minute or two, because it's just the next step. That's just what you do. So I turn off the leaf blower, and then this nice guy, I'll say his name was John, he would say, "You okay?" "I'm okay, John." "Oh, good, good, good." He was really nice. I liked him. And so, but having seen some people with disabilities, there's another group of disabled people that come in with some normal people. There's a group, they'll come into the dollar store almost every week, and they get drinks and snacks for everybody, and it's kind of fun. But there was one time where they forgot their credit cards. So they had to leave the stuff, take their group back, and then one of the guys came back and got the stuff. But one of these disabled people didn't want to leave, and he put up quite a fuss. And so the reason I tie mental disabilities into this is because I've seen some of them put up a fuss, and it's really tough and tricky. And I understand for them it can be really hard, because for them, the biggest thing they have in life is those chips that they were going to get. And that's pretty much it for them, is the next big thing. They don't really have much of anything else. Sure, they've got some friends. I don't know what they do as a group together, but I'm sure that they might possibly be able to play some games together. And I've seen this same guy. Yeah, he's if not a teenager, he was at least 20-something, and I've seen him be a little bit playful and have fun. He smiles, so I know that he's there. But just with the way that he acted, it can be a little bit worrisome and scary, especially when you've got somebody who's about the size of a 20-year-old, relatively large guy, who's not happy about something. It can go not great. So I think maybe in some instances it could be some slight, like they're very high-functioning mental disability, but it kicks in just enough that they lose all reason. It's just gone. I gotta have my chips. If I don't have my chips, somebody's gonna get hurt. Something like that, And this kid wasn't necessarily trying to beat people, but he was definitely crying and kind of curling up in a ball, just holding on to the counter and not wanting to go. And he did kind of little bit forcefully, jerkily push the guy away when he tried to put his shoulders on him. But we were able to convince him to go with the rest of the group so that he could then come back and get them his snack before he had to go home back to his family. And it worked out happy. And that was also one of the guys that was helping take care of them for the day. He mentioned that he was kind of acting up lately and not behaving, and so I can see too that it goes in waves for some people, but I think I think mental disabilities can kind of contribute to this mess. Boy, it's a mess. So it really just makes me sad, and I'm curious enough that I definitely want to go back and read more of the subreddit. I kind of want to read see if there's any more stories, see if I can find out maybe why. Because, well, like, at this point in time, like, I'm only stuck at really, really strong outward influences, or something that kind of started in the home very mild. Like maybe the family was already a little bit contentious. They would argue a little bit more than other families, and that was kind of the start. But then outward influences took it a step further, you know. Like, I can yell at my mom, and I can yell at my dad, and we can have an argument and fight over this thing. And then the outward influences just secretly slipped in there. If you really want to get your way, then use force. And, you know, something like that maybe. I don't know. It's different for every case. But but it just makes me sad. And at the young age that they are too. For most of the stories of news and stuff that I read, I'm used to, like, people being 25 or older going out and doing these things. And so it kind of seems to me like they've been living on their own, and that's when they decided to go out and do the mean thing that they were going to do, acts of terrorism and what have you. And so with that, but these are young kids that are still at home. I forget who said this, but I remember hearing a quote from someone somewhere that the greatest enemy is the enemy within inside. Or there's that poem about, like, the wolves inside of you, and or who are you gonna let win? Or there's a song by Imagine Dragons called Monster that talks about the monster being inside. And they mention how it keeps getting stronger. They don't really have it end on a happy resolve, kind of, which is kind of a little bit sad. But I would say it's not just within inside of you. Like, the greatest enemy is the enemy that lies within. Also refers to, like we talked about, that one family member who's really mean to everybody else. There's also, what else? Or just in general, like, what comes to mind is this is going to get a little bit religious here. And this is just for example, okay? I'm not trying to convert anybody by saying this. But, so I'm a Mormon, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's our full name. And so we have a book called the Book of Mormon. And so, long story short, I'm not going to talk about exactly what the book is about. But you get to a point where you have the good guys called the Nephites, and bad guys are called the Lamanites. And a lot of times throughout the story, there's this annoying thing called the pride cycle, where when you're doing good things, God sends you blessings. Blessings just means overall more wealth and riches. And then because of that, you get a little bit more proud. I've got more gold than he does, which then leads to being wicked and causes wars, which then lead to repentance. I'm sorry. I'm having a horrible time. I'm sorry for being bad. And the cycle repeats. But a lot of times there are plenty of wars where the Nephites, the good guys, they lose because they were kind of arguing and bickering amongst themselves in the cities and not doing a very good job. They were, like, the modern day equivalent would be if we got so focused on who has more money and toys and riches, and arguing between each other, even stealing amongst each other, that we just completely ignored Iraq or China or whoever's our biggest enemy right now. We're just so busy thinking about how we're going to steal our neighbor's ATV that we don't even notice that, and then they just come in and put us under a communist rule or something like that, which is kind of sort of the modern day equivalent. It's kind of the enemy within. So yeah, you've created now an enemy within inside of your family, and that is the worst kind. Spies even fall on this list is another example that comes to mind. They are an enemy within us, within our group of people. Or another thing this makes me think of that's kind of sort of related, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I'm kind of trailing off from the original topic, is I was watching an extra credits. They are really good. They have animated videos. They're not like, they're the animation style where they animate every 5 frames or so. They're basically having a relevant picture, still picture, for the for what they're talking about. They talk about video games and stuff, but they talked about how in like zombie apocalypse games and stuff like that, then you run into issues of, a lot of times it's everybody grabbing stuff for themselves, and the people end up just doing damage to themselves and killing each other off in a lot of cases, because precious resources, you have to hold all the resources. You don't share them. When it would be way more beneficial if all the humans just got together and said, here's all of our resources, let's all work together to defend against the zombies. So that right there kind of sort of makes all of us an enemy within. It's in that state like the Nephites and the Lamanites. They're so focused on their own resources that you don't really unify together. And so yeah, I'm gonna cut it there because I'm kind of farther along from the original topic. But it was kind of an eye-opener. It made me a little bit sad, but it definitely opened up my eye as to, you know, and the other point, one other point too that was made by that one guy who was saying how we actually need the juvenile camps. He was also saying that there are some situations where just a lot of rich people and stuff put their kids in it because they just don't like them. You know, because, you know, maybe the kid was just a little bit disrespectful to them, and so they think they need that. When, you know, like, seriously, you don't need to... There's a sparkling light on top of the mountain that I'm going to try and get a picture of here, so I'm going to... But, so you don't need to put them in if they screamed and put up a mild fuss in the grocery store, or little things like that. No, if they're actually coming aggressively at you, and then you need to take action. And so, yeah, I'm going to cut it there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I didn't see anybody live, but who cares? You guys will see this afterwards, and it makes it easier on me, so I don't have to get home and worry about uploading a file. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.